to your document?
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks so much. Yeah, because I wanted to record this too, because then it'll help Christian as well,
For sure.
and all of us. Well, correction, not just help Christian. I get it. Christian had the intent of not just to expose what's going on there to other people on the team, but for when new people come on. Like what was really cool, it was a great timing that we started this yesterday, and we started it just from an arrow in a box with rounded corners, right? And that helped us even answer some questions that were being asked when we did an interview today.
Oh,
It's like without this, just even that small Pomodoro initiative last night, like we would have actually been unprepared as far as the some of the questions that we had to ask and answer just from an interview perspective today. So there was this is perfect timing, and this smallest little input helps because you don't know what you don't know, and like a lot about Finegar, you're the expert there, believe it or not. And so even just little diagrams like this helps out the team tremendously.
I think it would maybe also be useful to put together a diagram later on or sooner, showing how those pieces relate to one another.
Exactly. So so that's why I wanted to record that. So go ahead and carry on, my friend.
Okay, for sure. So, or should maybe restart?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Finegar. So Finegar's kind of like overall goal would be to kind of control the financial data that's that we have currently. That provider for financial data is FactSet. So most of this conversation will be about FactSet. And Finegar's functionality includes originally importing data into our database, ensuring that data is current with FactSet, and giving back that data in a format that other clients can use. And at this point, it's mostly Finegar. And just a slide note on Finegar, it's the part of the application that will do the talking to the application itself. So
wait a minute, you said it's a part of the application that will do the
talking? Yeah, it's a part of the backend software that actually does talking to the application.
I see. So when you say
like a wrapper around all the other software that we have.
I see. So what's the application you're saying? Is it the onboarding or
Portfolio Me itself?
Got it.
The dashboard, etc.
Got it.
Yep. So the FactSet import is kind of meant as like the original installation process for the data. It will create the database, either extract the data from the FTP servers of FactSet itself, or just read from their servers directly. And it will create tables and load in data. But that's only meant to be run once. It's kind of like an installation point, or like a beginner point, kind of like an installation. From that point on, you'll only really be running updates, and that kind of ties into the data management part of it. It could be run maybe by a human, or even better, it should be kind of like a cron job that runs every, I don't know, day, late at night, just to pull new information from the FactSet servers. And it will check for new releases, which, to go into more detail about what a release is, that will require a structural change in the database, which could be as simple as moving one primary key in a table to a different one. But it could also mean completely restructuring how the tables relate to one another. And it will also just do simple updates, which are like inserts or deletes from tables that currently exist. And then the interpreter part of Finegar is a way that Finegar and Finegar can communicate with one another. It'll read from the database, potentially create views, and basically just gives back that data in a format that clients are happy with.
Nice. Can you go into a little bit more detail about the new section?
Sure. So, what kind of, do you have any questions? Is there something that wasn't clear?
Well, it's just because it's a new component, and
for sure,
for me to grok something, typically it takes at least more than one iteration
for sure. So, okay, so the interpreter part, like, I don't know, I guess I'm struggling on like more ways to say it, that aren't super computery.
Well, that's a good thing because remember that we're just aware enough to pay attention to how naming things just makes things a ton easier. Naming things is still one of the most three difficult things in computer science, along with cache invalidation and off by one errors. So it should be that difficult, but it's the fact that we're aware to know that through that pain, it makes our programs a lot simpler.
For sure. So I guess really, like it to put it simply, it's reading from the database. It's the select statements that we have. It's the views that we've created, and the views are important because we have different purposes for FactSet data that that FactSet doesn't have. So the views allow.
I see. See, now I get that part about it.
So the
So
views
continue on with that, because that's a piece of information that was kind of rattling around in my head, but I didn't quite get it. But that line explains it totally right there.
Yes. So like basically, FactSet is just a bunch of data, but we give a lot of meaning to that data because we're using it with other, like we're using it with social data, and we're extrapolating it and not showing everything. Like there's certain stuff that we need from FactSet, but like clients won't need either. And like creating views gives us control on what's flowing back to the different applications, or the different clients, I'm sorry. And that I guess, so we just have it, like those views are because we have a different purpose for the data than FactSet does. And currently our structure to maintain the data at the easiest way possible, or the easiest way for us to maintain the data is to mimic the structure that FactSet has for its data. But we have those different purposes, so those views are necessary to kind of give meaning and purpose to the data that FactSet is providing.
Totally get that.
Cool. I jumped around a bunch there, but I landed on it. So
great explanation. What we probably want to expound upon that within that box, because I think what you just stated right there was very well done. So that's a good iteration there. And then you just probably what we'll do is in the link, this section right here, we'll probably want to go look that over again and just write down what you just said. It's funny because we oftentimes have these like great epiphanies while we're talking and stuff, but it's like yet again, another reason why I like to record conversations, and once I get over hearing my own voice, it actually becomes very beneficial, because it's like, oh, I forgot that I said that, and then it's like, oh, well, let me write that down, because that's much better of an understanding of what I had initially. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty good.
Currency. Is currency a word in that sense? Like,
either maintain. What's currency? Currency. Got to be careful with those words. And
it's not currency like money.
Maintaining current state. How about that?
Current state. We have different. I'll move it.
Yeah, sure. I'm more concerned about why that bounding box is just a total lie in Google Drive.
I think it's probably one of their features that they need to.
Yeah, that's awkward.
Different purposes for that same data. Huh. How does this sound? What do you think about that?
I like it. Well, mimicking facts as data structure provides these and maintaining current state. We have different purposes for the same data. Reading entails select functions and creating views. Sounds good.
Perfect. Come on, go up a little more. There we go. I can move this up a little more. Awesome.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Also, let's see here. What we want. Maybe we make that text a touch smaller on both of them. Probably should be able to highlight them and
Hold on.
or just on the section down below because it's like hitting up towards the footer of the page, the mimicking section.
Or I could probably just move it up a little.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right, because the bounding box is lying again.
Come on. Stop it. Is that better?
Yeah, that's great. So now next, out of these sections here, so if you were to look at the overview of things, so we have four boxy looking things. Can you describe in each section, since you're really, you're right on the front lines down in the trenches, since can you really describe what areas within each box on a box by box basis, what areas need some help or where you can even be helped? Because remember, as we discussed before, just because we can do things doesn't mean that we should. Yeah.
I think that on the data interpreting side, Phil's definitely going to be like a huge asset there because he knows like what views he's going for. He's already written out a bunch of them. So that aspect of it, like I don't know that like what the data is enough to really know what it should be spitting out. Like I know how it's supposed to talk to FOIL and I know what parts I'm going to need for like FOIL, but that's only a small part of what the data interpreter is. Like the views and stuff is really where I'm going to need the most help there. Phil's done a ton of work on data management already because he's done the XML parsing, which kind of gives you the XML files that he was parsing were the ones that tell you about whether or not it needs to be rebuilt or things like that. It's just kind of like tying in the actual functions to that like controlling part of it or like the, hey, you're doing this part of it. The import is getting close to being like sounded out. Like I've definitely done different parts of it. Like this creating the database, totally done. Like doesn't need to be touched. This part is where it's still a little gray. And that's because, and you can even see that Phil started something on it, which is like the zip extraction. We're kind of like at this point where we need to figure out, or really not figured out. I think that we do kind of have it figured out. It's just that they come in zip files, so you have to unzip them to get the structure out. And that's important because it's kind of like all over the place and they don't really maintain a certain structure, but there's definitely places like the thing that I'm working on now is a schema parser, which helps us like pinpoint those exact locations. All the files just need to be extracted already. The problem with that is like, hey, we have to pull those files and store them somewhere because that's the part that like would clog up a computer theoretically because all that data is like gigabytes and gigabytes and gigabytes of data. Like I think it's like 80 gigs or something like that. It's like insane.
Oh wow, 80 gigs, really?
Yeah, and I think that's before you extract it.
Jeez.
Let me check out my outdated version over here. Up level. Let's go up a level. How do I go up a level? Just back.
Yeah, that guy right there, the back arrow looking thing.
Get info. 75 gigabytes on disk, unzipped. So it's like it's a lot, and there's only going to be more coming in. There is the idea that we can kind of like make them all temporary files when we extract them, but I think that would slow down the performance a lot. Or I can see that slowing down the performance a lot.
Well, plus that's a premature performance optimization.
Yeah. I'm just throwing those like few ideas. Like that's the kind of area that we need to like think about a little bit more.
Yeah, possibly because it seems like it's already starting to push its boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, like I can throw it onto this computer because like it was basically cleaned when Neo handed it to me. But like, and I can probably like Phil doesn't have enough room on his hard drive for it. So like that's kind of some of it that we have to like hammer out, I guess. Like we were originally talking about just reading it from the zip files, but the problem is that we need the structure, and that structure isn't there through the zip files until you unzip them.
What is this structure in?
Um, like the zip files. Let's peer at what FactSet has up. How about that? Spotlight.
And see, that's as this diagram grows, that's questions that we should be able to answer by looking at this diagram. You know what I mean?
For sure, but isn't this an implementation detail?
That's very true. You're absolutely right. So from a high, it's already satisfying from a high level
right.
what those things are. And then as we expound upon each section, it could be each section winds up being its own living document or something like that. But the main thing is that as we started it, we focused on the high level arrows and rounded boxes.
Like I think these are generally unzipped, but like, oh, here we go. This is the level it starts hitting zip files at, and it needs to start hitting them like level below it in order for it to satisfy our needs. So there is going to have to be either like an extraction or a who even knows anymore kind of situation, because like this is a full version, which is fine, but we need to be able to like go into this at any given moment.
You got it.
It has some deeper stuff in there.
You got it. So that's good stuff, Katie. I think even going any further would be too deep in the implementation weeds.
Right.
But that's good to know. Like that's further than I've seen. And so yeah, that actually wraps up our Pomodoro. But so we have to take our couple of minutes and say what we learned. I learned that Finegar is not as scary as I thought it was. Just from a simple diagram like you have right there, it helps out tremendously.
Yeah. Like on a conceptual level, it's pretty simple, I think, like on a very basic conceptual level. Implementation gets a little scary.
Yeah, that's true. What did you learn?
I learned that I can get to the point eventually with what I'm saying. No, I'm kidding. But like I guess I really didn't realize that there were other people who didn't know enough about Finegar and like what it was doing and how important it is, I guess. Because I personally think it's a very important part of the Portfolio Me package in general. Just because it's the financial data. Like we're a robo advisor. Like that's pretty important for a robo advisor.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I guess I think I did a lot of assuming where I shouldn't have done that. But I'm also very happy to like talk to anyone about this at any given point.
Well, of course, for a couple, and plus for the fact you're proud of what you're doing. I mean, it's something that you have a core focus in, and it's always awesome when someone cares about the work you're doing. So that's and plus, you also have to, it's a with great power comes great responsibility. You also have to realize we entrust you with Finegar and all of that, and it's because we trust that you know what you're doing, and even if you didn't know what you're doing, you could quickly find out, and it's not going to kill any kittens, But that said, the other people on the team leverage the fact that you're spending a bunch of time on it so we don't have to spend time on it. You know what I mean? So it's like that's why these diagrams are good, and probably why it's a little alarming with you, because you look at this every single day, but also to have the empathy that other people on the team do not look at it every day.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm always pushing back to say not dumb it down, but approach it from no one's ever seen this concept you're talking about, and then talk from there.
For sure. And I definitely didn't realize I guess people were out of the loop on that, just because I'm so engrossed in it at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So well done on this. It's so even after one iteration, look in one day how much we have just from an overall view, and we already use it today in an interview.
That makes me feel good.
Yeah, for sure. So what I would say do is, get it. Take a few minutes to whereas there's a couple of things shifted around. I don't know, like if you think, or to a point where you can just drop a link inside of the internal dev and and say, "Hey, Christian, here's what we worked on."
Oh, I already did that.
Oh, oh, really? Well, see,
Do it on a channel.
this is another iteration, so we probably have to pick
True.
with
For
another.
sure.
All right.
Week is up here,
Up here
and
and
a couple
a
of
couple of
things that I need to
things
do
that I need to.
in Finegar.
I'm losing you a bit here.
A couple of testing things we need to do within Finegar.
Mhm.
That is really just more of an exercise of my chops in Python.
Mhm.
And that's as far as from the development side of things going. That'll
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, there's definitely some stuff that, like, if you're jumping in on Python and it's not your first language, or you know what I mean. Like, there are some aspects of it that I could definitely like it. Like, there's chore things that would help,
awesome.
and yeah, we can. And definitely when if actually, do you have the time tomorrow to do like the stuff I was talking about with like going through it and checking tests out?
Absolutely. Actually, that was what I was going to ask you if you had time for tomorrow to do.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, I have class again, so I'm in like
Yeah,
just that.
Yeah, so you're in around 3?
4. It's like 3:34, depending.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's perfectly